Hi everybody, it's Caroline here. Welcome back to Mindful Memory Keeping Abundance, and this is our last lesson where we will be celebrating the abundance of ourselves. So I'm going to be working at Traveller's Notebook format for this project. I have a full page photo printed out, which I'm not too sure yet whether I'm going to orientate this on the left or the right hand side of my Traveller's Notebook double spread. I'm actually working in a disc bound Traveller's Notebook, so I've got an arc hole punch, so I will be punching holes and then putting this and the facing page, whichever side that will be, into my disc bound notebook. I have it's mainly kind of scenery here, and this is just myself in the centre captured in a reflection in the mirror of our little camper van when we are out having an adventure one day. And I'm going to be working with an older collection from Cocoa Vanilla, using up that stash that I've talked about throughout this workshop. This is the Storyteller collection from Cocoa Vanilla, and I purchased, which is unlike me, but I purchased the whole kind of bundle pack when this one came out because I absolutely loved it. I've used it on a few projects, but I have got a lot of this product left. I've been keeping it aside from all of my other stash in this kind of tub, which also has this layer here with all of the embellishments and the stickers and the journal cards, but I really want to just break this down and get this into my stash rather than kept separate, because I could do with using this tub. So my intention is going to be to use what was the A5 paper pad, which is these papers will all be already sized at 8.25 high, which will match my photo. Is to go through and find one of these, a kind of neutral one, potentially as my background facing page. And then, because my challenge on this project is to use some extended journaling, I'm going to create a large format tag and a pocket. So it will say, if I have this paper, which actually is quite a good one, as my facing page, I'll cut this down to 4.25 wide, so Traveller's Notebook size, create a pocket somehow down the bottom here, and then cut out a tag that will fit inside that pocket, embellish the tag, a little bit of embellishment on the photograph, and then on the back of that tag I will have a section for extended journaling to tell a story, all about the abundance in myself, my qualities, things that I'm enjoying at this time, that kind of thing. And then that will be this one made. So I'm going to, it's all a little bit woolly at that point, not 100% sure where I'm going to go with it, but sometimes that's good, not to have a great plan, and just to let creativity take control. So I will put things onto voiceover and fast forward and take you along with this one. Okay, so I've been through the papers in the A5 stack. I've decided that I do want to go with that wood grain as my background, and I want this big, bold floral as the pocket, and this nice textured navy, kind of muted navy, as my tag. So I'm just going to cut down the floral paper to 4.25 wide, and I think I go with 3.75 inches tall for the pocket at first, and then I trim a little bit off, so it's probably about 3.5 inches tall in the end. I've got a tag that I generally use for oversized tags in my stash. I tend to use that as a template, and that's over on the right hand side of my desk at the moment, so I'll be cutting that out of that kind of circle print navy paper. And then what I will be doing is just adhering things down really, really lightly with a little touch of adhesive, and then taking this over to my sewing machine so that I can sew the pockets, the edges of the pocket, so that it's nice and stable, because this is going to be sitting outside of any page protectors and there could be some interaction on there, and I don't want to just have adhesive on there. But also just for the effect, really, I really like the look of stitching on my page, and I particularly like to do that when I'm working with pockets. So you'll see I have decided to have the patterned paper page on the right hand side of the photo, and it just the right hand side of the spread, and it did just feel more balanced that way. I tried it the other way around, but because the orientation of this photo, the mirror is already slightly kind of interacting with the edge on that side, it just felt better and more balanced if that big photo was on the left hand side of the spread. The tag is, I think, 3 inches wide by 6 inches or 6.5 inches tall, and that fits really, really well, so that you can still see a nice amount of that wood grain paper behind it. And it also is nice and stable inside the pocket. I really don't like this look very much. I use this design quite a lot when I have extended journaling. I have a lot of pockets in my traveler's notebook, but I like to make sure that the tag is quite tall so that it really sits tall of the pocket, because if not, I find that on my shelf the tag tends to slip down inside the pocket, and then it doesn't look as visually interesting when you turn the page. There's always a kind of lot of background, so it doesn't it's not quite doesn't quite fit as well as it does if it's just that little bit taller. So I'm just going to adhere that pocket down, and before I take it over to my sewing machine, I've learnt my lessons, and what I'm going to be doing is bringing in my arc hole punch and punching my holes for the photo and also for the right hand side. If I had gone away and sewn the pocket first and then punch my holes, there is a chance, because of the location of the arc holes, that I would have punched through my stitching, and then the whole thing would have fallen apart. It's a little bit different if you're using, say, a 6-ring binder. It's probably a little bit easier to punch the holes after you've stitched the page, but because I'm using that arc hole punch, which is a bit of a beast but works really, really well, because I'm using this, I just prefer to punch my holes first, and then when I go over to my sewing machine, I always make sure that the stitching is to the right of the holes. It can't go to the left of the holes because of the structure of the hole punch, and it does mean that my stitched pocket always tends to be a little bit off center, a little bit kind of not quite symmetrical. There's the stitching is further in on the left hand side, but I'm really okay with that. I don't mind it at all, and it means that I can put this into my disc bound traveler's notebook, which I love. Okay, so here it is all stitched. As I said, slightly further in on the left hand side, but absolutely fine with that. And this is the size of that tag against the background, so looking good. What I like to do with the ends of my stitching is just put a little tiny touch of adhesive and then gather all of the ends up so there's a kind of messy stitching section at the ends. I just prefer to do that because once I've got some stitching on there, it just adds extra texture onto the page and a little bit more interest. So I'm popping the tag in now, and I'm going to start embellishing. I want to bring in some floral over on the photo, and I've decided to go with a vertical kind of column of embellishment. I'm bringing in a little tag to echo that tag shape on the left hand side, and also it brings in the floral from the paper on the right hand page as well, so that's really good. Toying with the idea of originally of just having one section of embellishment either at the top, at the bottom, or over in the far left, but this is where I've decided to just go all in, go for that abundance of stash again, and just make that column, so that I am kind of pretty much embellishing the center line of the photo where I am focal in the photo as well. One of the things I love to do when I'm working in this way with kind of hidden journaling or extended journaling that's a little bit hidden or not as easy to get to is I like to embellish the tag that the journaling is on. So the journaling is going to go on the other side of this tag. So I'm going to embellish the tag quite a lot so that if you are just a casual observer and you're flicking through this traveler's notebook, you may never actually pull out the tag. If I really, really wanted this journaling to be completely private, I would have opted for a different route with the journaling. I'd have really hidden it behind a photo so that nobody would have known it was there but me, or put it inside an envelope that's tucked behind a photo, or even behind the actual page, so only I knew to dive down there. This has got some writing on that I don't mind if people look at, but there's quite a lot of it, so it's I prefer if it's just slightly more hidden. So what I'm doing here is embellishing that tag so that, as I said, as a casual observer, you might just flip through, see the tag, and just presume that it is just a lovely tag full of embellishment. You may never actually lift the tag out and see what's on the back of it. One of the great things about working with a collection rather than pulling in lots of random pieces from my stash is that everything coordinates. So this came together really, really easily. I knew that all of the colour tones were going to match. I knew that the sentiments were going to all complement each other and that the icons were all going to complement each other. So it was really just a case of going through the sticker sheet and the die cuts and the cut apart sheet and pulling out the things that helped me to tell my story, that looked pretty. What I did do is I actually punched the stickers out from the back of the sticker sheet, which enabled me to move them around a little bit, which was really, really good. But when I got to these fiddly pieces, it made it a little bit difficult to get the backing off. But really, I was really pleased with that idea because it just meant I could move things around without having to keep lifting things up and leaving behind lots of sticky on the photo. Before I stick down this tag sticker, I'm going to want to add in some fibres or ribbons. So I'm just going off camera, bringing in, I've opted for a kind of sheer white ribbon on both sides, and I'm going to be able to stick down my tag after I've done that. So I'm just showing you here, this is how I store my ribbons. I have them all in Kilner jars and different jam jars, and I have them colour coordinated and on a shelf in my craft room, which means that the stash of ribbons also acts as a bit of a rainbow colour of just prettiness, and I really love that in my craft room. So I'm just lining this tag up here so it's in the centre, helping to draw the eye to the aspect of the photo that I wanted to draw attention to, which was the reflection of myself, and then just continuing to layer up sentiment pieces and embellishments to really help bring these two very different look of page together. So the visual photo on the left hand side and the traditional kind of scrapbook bit on the right hand side. By adding in all these different layers of embellishments, I've really helped to pull in the patterns and the colours and make these feel like one thing, one piece, rather than a photo and a scrapbook page. Now, I was toying with the idea of embellishing the pocket, which I do sometimes do. I often, if I'm working with this kind of vertical stack of embellishments, I may continue the embellishments over on the right hand side onto the pocket, but I decided not to do that because I didn't want to draw attention from that bold floral. I wanted that to shine. But what I am going to do is bring in some stickers and a die cut and actually embellish behind the tag, so that if, as the casual observer, you just happen to lift out the tag, then you're going to see some embellishments behind, and again you may not actually notice that there's actually writing on the back of the tag unless you look at it. So that's what I'm going to focus on next. If you like this idea of a tag that holds your journaling that you pull out of a pocket on your page, but you don't want to work with the traveler's notebook style, you could definitely incorporate this kind of design element into a 12 by 12 page or an 8.5 by 11 or whatever page size you work with. You just would need to put down a paper layer and only tack down 3 sides of that paper with adhesive, and then to create your pocket, and then tuck your tag into that. The downside of doing it in a at that scale of project, if you're working inside page protectors, is that it's a little bit harder to just interact with your page when the page is in an album in a page protector. But if you really want to do that, then you can orientate things and layer things up on your page so that you can reach down from above into the page protector and grab hold easily of the ribbon or whatever that you put into the tag, and then be able to lift it out. So it works just as well. I've done that on pages in the past, and really happy with the way it looks on a larger format page. Say a 12 by 12 page works just as well as it does on a traveler's notebook. This is where I'm just going to build up that little triangle of embellishments behind the tag. You won't ever see these unless you lift out the tag, but it's something that I like to do, just an extra sentiment word sticker, a heart sticker, and in a moment when I come in a second, I'll be adding some puffy stickers, 3 to the front of the page I think, and then I'll add a 4th one behind that tag, so if you lift it out you've still got that additional embellishment and that different texture. Again, fantastic that I'm really, really pleased that I bought the puffy stickers that went with this collection, because the colours just match perfectly, and you can even layer things up like I'm doing here. They are the perfect size to layer up onto some of the smaller die cuts and stickers, and I'm in love with this spread. I'm so happy with the way that it's coming out, particularly when I had no plans at all at the start of the lesson as to what I was going to do with this, other than I wanted to use this collection. So once these puffy stickers are down, I'm going to go off camera and add in my journaling. One thing I love to do when I have extended or hidden journaling is to include one area of journaling that will be visible. And on this spread, that's that journal spot over on the left-hand side on top of the photo. And then the hidden journaling, which I'll show you in a moment, will be behind the tag. Sometimes, depending on how much I've got to write, I will type my journaling up and then print it out on a tag or on matte sticker paper, which I then didn't stick down, but this time I decided to just go with the flow. I really wanted to feel into how I was at this time, so I decided to handwrite my journaling so that I could just really have a deep reflect and just write exactly what was coming to me at this time as I reflect on my life, exactly where I am in my life, and celebrate myself. So thank you so much for joining me on this Mindful Memory Keeping Abundance class. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I have absolutely loved putting this class together and creating the projects and sharing the videos with you. So hopefully I will see you again soon. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me and take care. Bye.